According to the report, Queen Camilla is suffering from extreme mental tiredness and acute depression. However, the explanation for why she has suddenly become so ill immediately disintegrates the moment you take a look at the timetable. This entire health crisis did not begin after months of public pressure or media scrutiny, according to palace sources, who claimed that this crisis began before that. The beginning of it all occurred when King Charles III made it very obvious that he was preparing to give Princess Anne complete authority over the private finances of the royal family. That is not a happenstance at all. This is not a terrible timing. This is the kind of specific that causes you to pause and think, what is that? That nobody in the palace is willing to answer the question that is so plain is to tell you the truth, the most peculiar aspect of the situation. In the event that you are new to our site, before we get into the specifics, we will begin by breaking down royal drama as it truly occurs. And this is where things start to get interesting. It has been reported that King Charles III has been preparing a significant overhaul of the way in which the royal household manages its finances. Also, we are not talking about a few cents here and there. We are discussing the Privy Purse, which is the official body that is responsible for managing the private finances of the monarch, as well as the living expenditures of the monarch and the internal running budget for the entire royal family at large. In terms of finances, this is the palace's most important asset. Regardless of who controls this, the flow of money across the institution is under their control. Additionally, it has been reported that King Charles desired for his younger sister, Princess Anne, to be in charge of the situation. That being said, if you have any knowledge whatsoever about Princess Anne, then this makes perfect sense. She is well known for her self-control. She has a reputation for having a work ethic that is unwavering. She does not engage in meaningless chatter. She is not a wasteful person. The kind of person who shows up to 4 engagements in a single day and yet appears irritated that there aren't 5 of them is the kind of person she is. When King Charles took a look at the royal household and noticed that there was excessive expenditure and wasteful spending, he made the decision to put Anne in charge of cleaning it up. This was arguably the most sensible choice he could have made. The difficulty is that Camilla experienced a direct threat as a result of this action. The narrative moves in a different direction at this point. The reason for this is that Camilla did not just disagree with this move, as stated by a number of different sources. Regarding her situation, she regarded it as a threat to her very existence. Camilla's influence over the resources available within the organization would essentially be rendered null and void if Anne were to control the purse strings. Aside from the monetary value, there was another factor to consider. It's called jealousy. Queen Anne is completely trusted by King Charles. What you're saying is not limited to siblings. That's a lifetime of Anne demonstrating that she can be relied upon. Camilla, on the other hand, has over the course of many years endeavored to establish her position. A change occurred in her as a result of the fact that she witnessed Anne being given that trust. At this point, I would want to take a moment to pause, since this is the point in the chronology where things start to get quite peculiar. You would anticipate that Camilla's health would gradually deteriorate over the course of several months, or even years, if she was truly suffering from mental strain brought on by the pressures of the public. You would anticipate that there would be signs that are visible during public engagements. It is reasonable to anticipate that personnel will become aware of minor alterations over time. On the other hand, the reports indicate that none of it took place. Her precipitous decline, on the other hand, occurred almost precisely at the same time that she became aware of the king's scheme. It is not normal for mental health crises to proceed in this manner. This is how a strategy is implemented. According to sources within the palace, the strategy was shockingly well planned. According to the allegations, Camilla enlisted the services of a private physician in Chelsea to produce a fake medical dossier. Rather than simply a note, stating that she was experiencing symptoms of illness. The official medical report that she was diagnosed with extreme mental weariness and significant depression at the time of the conversation is being discussed. The kind of report that would cause any husband to take a moment to reflect. The kind of paper that would cause a king to rethink his choices and their implications. I would like to make it perfectly clear what is being asserted in this situation. The allegation is that Camilla made direct contact with this physician, that she requested that he compile a report saying that her ailment was brought on by unrelenting pressure from the public, and that she offered monetary compensation in exchange for fabricating the diagnosis. If that is the case, then it is not entirely possible that the individual in question is exaggerating their symptoms. In order to influence the compassion of the king, this is a planned operation taking place. It is at this point that the situation becomes even more unsettling. After Camilla had obtained the fabricated medical certificate, it was said that she started making appearances in front of King Charles, while seeming extremely exhausted with her face drawn and her eyes looking tired. She was so emotional that she would cry during the entire performance. To convince him to change his mind, she would beg him. In addition, she constructed her argument in a manner that was intended to impart an air of altruism. She explained to him that if he were to hand over control of the privy purse to her rather than Anne, it would provide her with a sense of ownership and function. Her recovery would be aided by it. It would provide her with the inspiration she required to recover. This is a special form of manipulation that is quite particular. It transforms a position of vulnerability into a demand for power by taking advantage of the situation. It was not enough for her to simply request that he slow down the transition. In other words, she was requesting that he reverse it and transfer over to her the precise authority that he intended to grant to Anne. Her health was the explanation that she used for her actions. That is not a trivial matter at all. However, in order for that kind of move to be successful, the person on the receiving end must be emotionally invested to the point where they are willing to disregard reasoning. For a period of time, it appeared as though it may truly be successful. It is said that King Charles started to be uncertain. He observed that his wife appeared to be spent. A medical report was in his possession at the time. His intention to streamline the palace was in conflict with his instinct to protect his spouse, and he found himself trapped in the middle. That is a challenging situation for anyone to be into. Also, Camilla was well aware of how to take advantage of it. After that, however, she made another move. And this is the point at which the narrative becomes even more illuminating. It has been reported that she did not stop at requesting control of the privy purse when she made her request. In addition to this, she asked that King Charles make a definitive promise in writing that all of the symbolic jewelry collections that belonged to the late Queen Elizabeth II would be transferred to her and her children from her previous marriage. The request is not a trivial one. These treasures are irreplaceable since they are connected to the history of the monarchy. The fact that she brought this up in the middle of a talk about her mental health is sufficient evidence to tell you everything you need to know about the priority that she actually places on her life. In the event that the objective was to actually heal, why would she require jewelry? What is the reason for her needing a signed promise regarding inheritance? Because of her past marriage, why would she feel the need to provide financial stability for her children? It is not possible for those items to assist a person in recovering from depression. That is the kind of thing that assists someone in consolidating their power. It was just this that Princess Anne began to take notice of. Now, Princess Anne is not the type of person who overlooks particulars. She is very good. She has a keen eye for detail. She began to believe that something was wrong when she observed Camilla making secret phone conversations whenever the king left the room, as stated in the reports regarding her behavior. The pattern was invariable throughout. After a moment, King Charles would emerge from his study. At that moment, Camilla would quickly take out her phone and begin conversing in a quiet tone. In addition, the manner in which she conducted herself throughout those calls did not conform to the image of someone who was experiencing extreme mental tiredness. As a result, she was excessively focused, calculated, and deliberate. A fairly straightforward action was taken by Anne. Among the members of the palace cleaning crew who were allocated to Camilla's quarters, she appointed a reliable servant. And in the end, that servant was successful in photographing everything that was displayed on Camilla's phone, including call logs, message exchanges, and everything else. And as Anne went over the data, she discovered exactly what she had suspected: the private physician in Chelsea, the same name on the medical diagnostic, and the same number that appeared multiple times in Camilla's call history. When Anne reached this stage, she did not wait for permission. There was no need for her to go on channels. Her confrontation with him took place at the doctor's clinic, where she went straight. And it is at this point that the story moves from a state of suspicion to one of affirmation. Because, as stated in the papers, the physician originally attempted to defend the work that he had finished. He asserted that the diagnosis was in accordance with the appropriate medical processes. On the other hand, he had a complete breakdown when Anne showed him the call records and the message exchanges. He stated that Camilla had contacted him, that she had promised economic compensation, that the diagnosis was completely contrived, and that there were no true health signs that supported the assertions of mental tiredness or despair. He also admitted that he had been offered financial remuneration. That admission completely altered the situation. In addition to a full body of evidence, Anne now had a living witness to her credit. The screenshots, the evidence, and the admission from the doctor were all in her possession, and she brought all of this information immediately to King Charles. What would it be like to be King Charles at that precise moment? Your wife's health has been a source of concern for you for several weeks. Because you wanted to be there for her, you have been giving serious consideration to a significant financial choice, and suddenly your sister goes into your study and sets a dossier in front of you, demonstrating that the entire affair was a staged event. Simply said, that is not only disheartening, but it is also extremely embarrassing. There are claims that Anne laid everything out for everyone to see. She related the fabricated medical indicators, the covert discussions, the financial arrangement, and the fact that Camilla's fatigued appearance was part of a choreographed performance aimed to manipulate his compassion to the greater goal. She also connected it to the larger goal. Camilla showed little desire to get better. She yearned for autonomy. The privy purse was important to her. However, she desired the jewels. The protection of her position and the inheritance of her children was a priority for her. The public health emergency was merely a tool. Hi, viewers. Are you completely disgusted that Camilla faked a severe mental health crisis and bribed a private doctor just to steal control of the privy purse and Queen Elizabeth's priceless jewels? Yes or no? Put yes in the comments if you believe Princess Anne is an absolute hero for ruthlessly gathering the evidence and exposing this sick manipulation. There were reports that King Charles remained silent. He was taken aback by it, and after that he did something that gives the impression that he was aware of the entire significance of the circumstance. He put together a meeting of the Royal Council to discuss an urgent matter. Rather than a private talk or a resolution that was kept quiet, this was a complete meeting with all of the essential members of the council present. In addition, Anne invited the physician to present as a witness during that meeting. All of the information was revealed by the physician as he was standing in the middle of the room. Each and every fake indicator was dissected by him. He went into detail about how Camilla had been in charge of the procedure. The financial arrangement was indeed confirmed by him. Moreover, once that testimony was made public, the entire performance came to an abrupt end. Defeating the reality was not an option. There's no way to spin it. The pieces of evidence were arranged on the table. After that, King Charles presented his verdict. All of the earlier decisions that had been made with regard to Camilla's authority were scrapped, he declared. It was decided that she would no longer have any authority over the resources, budgets, or internal matters. All of the privileges that were associated with access to royal wealth or inheritance were taken away from her. And then he proceeded much further. It was immediately that night that he issued the order for her to be removed from Buckingham Palace. That is a shocking increase in intensity. We were not separated for a short period of time. This was not a period of rest and relaxation. This was a deportation for official purposes from the grounds of the palace. It was advised that the guards should immediately put it into effect. And according to the claims, Camilla was compelled to pack her possessions in complete silence while the rain was pouring down outside. Without an argument, a defense, or any other method to salvage the situation, she was helpless. There is a cinematic quality to the visual that is described in the reports. As the rain continued to fall, Camilla emerged from the house and entered the courtyard. There was a mixture of her tears and the rains. As she yelled out to Charles, her voice broke as she requested to know how he could treat her in such a manner after they had spent half of their lives together. But let me tell you something. She was not inquiring about the reason why he was being so nasty. She wanted to know why her idea had not been successful. Her question was about the reason why she had lost everything in a single night. And it is a totally different question, because the discrepancy is obvious when you actually look at what was said in comparison to what actually took place. The evidence demonstrated that Camilla was actively cooperating with a physician to fake the diagnosis that she was suffering from mental weariness as a result of public pressure. Camilla claimed that she was suffering from this condition. She asserted that she desired to recuperate, but her demands were associated with monetary compensation, jewelry, and inheritance. She said that she was incapable of maintaining her composure in the face of the pressure, but she was capable of carrying out a multi-step manipulation effort. This is not a serious health emergency. What a power grab that is, and the fact that she framed it as a health problem makes it much worse, since it takes advantage of the very compassion that King Charles was attempting to offer her. Empathy is turned into a weapon. This is the portion that really stands out to me, so continue reading. This was not something that Princess Anne needed to accomplish at all. She had the option of remaining silent. It was possible for her to let the scenario play out, but she chose not to do so. When she noticed something was wrong, she took action. The fact that she paid attention to the particulars is the reason why she was able to pull off the action. The covert phone calls, the timing, and the discrepancy between Camilla's public presentation and her private behavior were the factors that led to the discovery of the truth. What is the more profound takeaway from this? In my opinion, it is not too complicated. It is important to be transparent, not only in institutions, but also in interpersonal relationships. Whenever someone asks for power and justifies it by pointing to their own suffering, you have to ask yourself whether the suffering is genuine or whether it is being used as leverage. Additionally, it is not evidence of vulnerability when a person refuses to answer straight inquiries, when they deflect, or when they cry at convenient periods. From time to time, there is evidence of strategy. It was reported that Camilla stood outside the gates of Buckingham Palace as they closed behind her. There was no sign of the rain stopping. She was dispossessed of everything, including her position, her dignity, her access to the resources and the jewels that she had sought. What's even worse for her is that she was the one who caused it to herself. In total, she constructed the plan. A physician was hired by her. She acted out the sickness. She continued to strive for more and more until what she was trying to accomplish finally gave way under its own weight. Now, the question that needs to be answered is whether or not King Charles will ever trust her again. For the simple reason that once trust is shattered in such a manner, it is not easy to regain it. Also, the fact that he was willing to kick her out of the group right away is evidence that he was aware of that point. Not that he required any time to consider. It was unnecessary for him to inquire with anyone else. As soon as he saw the facts, he took action. However, beyond the immediate repercussions, there is a more extensive discussion taking place within the palace at this very moment regarding the implications of this happening for the future of the monarchy. Due to the fact that this was not merely a personal betrayal, this was an attempt to move royal resources and symbolic assets away from the institution and into private hands on the other side of the transaction. In addition, the palace has always taken precautions to prevent this from happening. Over the course of several centuries, the relationship between the crown and the individual has been meticulously preserved. When an individual makes an attempt to blur that barrier for their own personal gain, the entire system reacts on that. That is precisely what took place in this situation. On both occasions, the council did not show any signs of hesitation. In addition, the monarch did not hesitate regardless of the personal suffering that he could have been experiencing at the time. Therefore, the question of whether Camilla was a supportive companion or a nice wife was irrelevant to this discussion. If the monarchy could allow itself to be influenced from within, that was the question that needed to be answered. The response to that question was no. Now, there are still questions regarding what will take place after this. Does Camilla intend to withdraw into a private residence in a peaceful manner? Alternately, will she make an effort to retaliate by utilizing her own connections? Are her children from her previous marriage going to make an effort to contest the revocation of inheritance promises? Is there going to be any official statement issued by the palace regarding the separation? On the other hand, will they simply let the quiet speak for itself? However, despite their significance, those questions are not as important as the primary fact. It was not successful. The manipulation was known to the public, and the person who revealed it was the very person that Camilla had no idea she would be keeping an eye on before. Princess Anne, the sister, who does not feel the need to seek approval. The royal, who does not have the desire to be in the news. A person who only performs the tasks assigned to them and recognizes when anything does not make sense. In this case, that is the true tale. Not only it was the demise of a queen consort, but it was also the calm competence of a princess who understood that loyalty to the crown meant guarding it from everyone, including the people who were standing inside the walls of the castle. Although the story is quite dramatic, the lesson that it teaches is not overly complicated. In order to acquire what you want, you definitely shouldn't have it in the first place if you have to pretend to have a breakdown in order to get it. And if you are going to manipulate someone, you should probably avoid doing it in front of Princess Anne, because she will notice, she will investigate, and she will bring the receipts. We appreciate you watching. Hi viewers, if you agree that King Charles made the absolute best decision by instantly stripping Camilla of all her financial power and throwing her out of Buckingham Palace in the pouring rain, put yes in the comments. Like this video, share it, and subscribe right now. Let's show the world that true royalty means zero tolerance for traitors. Hit that subscribe button right now to show your unwavering support.